sure you guys are seeing everything. And if you do see us and you hear us, feel free and throw something in the chat that you do. But I think I see it working here. We're just going to wait a few minutes for everyone to start coming in. Oh, sweet. Hey, Bitcoin Audio. Bitcoin Audio just said first.
Yes, he's here.
Yay, I'm excited.
Is there a tweet I should retweet? A new one?
I did tweet out, I actually retweeted you and then wrote a comment. And then I tagged everyone in my Discord. So we should have a few people coming in a moment here, which is exciting. I think this is Bitcoin's first stream that he's watching of mine, so welcome. I'm excited to have you here, Bitcoin Audio.
Twitch.tv/Josie?
Josie Bellini.
Ah.
Yeah, that's perfect. Because then you could see the chat come in as well.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, you watched others as well. Nice. Thanks. And I'm just going to send one more ping out. And then we'll get started in just a moment.
Oh, you were saying so I could look at the chat. Yeah, that's smart. No, I was just tweeting out the watch link. But
okay.
I will do that.
Yeah, that's always fun to see the chat that's coming in. Because sometimes people say crazy stuff and I scroll and I don't always see all of it. So it's nice when we both have it going.
Yeah. Oh wait, I have to hit play? Yeah, there we go. Oh wait, no. I'm now on someone run random. I'm at twitch.tv/Bellini.
Oh, Josie Bellini.
Yeah. I had alcohol in the mind. Twitch.tv/Josie Bellini. Are you ever caught drinking Bellinis, or is that like a no-no? You're just like, it's too ironic, I can't do it.
No, it's funny. Whenever I say my last name, especially to like customer service representatives or anything like that, they're like, oh, that's my favorite brunch drink, which I think is funny. It's weird. I'm not a huge champagne person, or to be honest, I don't really love carbonation in general. So I don't drink a lot of Bellinis. If it was frozen, maybe I'd do that. But normally I stick to other beverages. But Fair. It's a good drink. Okay. Just sent out another message, and then let's just get started. And if anyone misses anything, we can just jump back and forth. Hey, F. Conway, thanks for joining us here. And I saw Ken Bozak followed, which I think that was today, which was awesome. So hey, Ken, if you're in here.
Miss Ken.
Out 86. Yeah, it's always nice to see Ken at all the events with his crazy outfits. But hey, No Shot, thanks for joining. All right, so let's just get started here. Obviously, we are joined with Brekkie today, and Brekkie is obviously known for being a huge activist and for Bitcoin and just spreading awareness in so many different ways, whether it be through once in a while some serious tweets, but then also a lot of really hilarious tweets, and just spreading, I guess, the lack of a better word, the gospel about Bitcoin and what's going on in that space. And then obviously you're the creative director for two really amazing companies that we'll talk about on the stream as well. And you've been working, in the crypto space, which is kind of nice. And not everyone gets that opportunity, even people who do want to work in the crypto space. So it's really nice that you're able to make your living that way. So I'd love to talk about that as well. And in general, you are a Bitcoin artist as well. You're doing really cool physical art that normally has 3 dimensions to it, which I really love. And we can talk a bit about that. And then I would love to get into some topics on what we'd love to see from NFTs on Bitcoin. And also a fun project that we're working on together. I'd love to tell the crowd a little bit about that as well. So I guess just to get started, I did have a question of my own, and then I'll let you kind of give your background. But I'm wondering where Brekkie came from.
That's a great question. So, it all started in the end of 2017, I believe. It was like we were in the middle of like the run up, and every day, like this was back when I was a I wouldn't even call myself a shitcoiner. I didn't know what I was. I was just like diving into crypto and I figuring things out. And every morning, my housemate would text me and say, "Yo, crypto breakfast. Like let's talk about crypto and get breakfast." And I was at that time like finishing up. I was finishing up film school, and I was starting to work in the film industry, and but at the same time, I was becoming obsessed with crypto. And so I was kind of falling down this rabbit hole, and I wanted to start doing something with my creativity because I was a producer. I produced films and things like that, and it wasn't quite creative enough for me. Like I was like, oh, I want to go make movies, and then I ended up like helping other people make their movies. Um, and so I just started like posting on Instagram under this fake name of Crypto Breakfast, and I started growing on there, doing these like stupid parody videos and like just making fun of the space because I didn't understand it, like in an attempt to understand it, and also kind of to like get out my frustration at all the scammers and spammers that I saw on Instagram. Um, and then I met a bunch of great friends on Instagram, like who I'm still friends with today. People like BitBoy and Crypto Wendy O, like all these kind of
Yeah.
disparate people that came together. And when we all decided to like, we heard about crypto Twitter. I mean, like we had to like get over there. We're like, okay, crypto breakfast was taken, and the guy wanted a whole Bitcoin for it, and I was like, no, not a chance. So I was like, all right, time for a rebrand, and I became Crypto Brekkie. And then when I went down the sort of maximalist path, I eventually decided to be Brekkie von Bitcoin.
I love that.
So it was partially like a decision to be semi-anonymous because one, I didn't trust my own opinions about anything. I was still learning and figuring it out. So it was like a shield to protect myself a little bit as I said stupid things. And then it was kind of a privacy thing.
Yeah.
My name is out there. You can go look it up if you want to, but yeah.
That's interesting. And it's interesting also that you felt that you wanted to be private because you just weren't sure and you wanted to explore and kind of joke around and do all these sort of things. Because obviously, we still do, I'd say less than when I first entered this space, but there's still a good amount of anonymous people. And I definitely meet a lot of anonymous people in VR. And it's always an interesting balance because people sometimes are being anonymous for not the best reasons. And then other times, I have people that I consider my friends, and they are anonymous, which is crazy. And I personally call them by the name they go by, and I don't even know their real name. So I think that's kind of funny and always cool to hear. I've never gone under an anonymous
I still
name.
call.
But...
I know. Okay, Josie Bellini, that is your real name. I mean, I still call. I know his real name. I'm not going to dox him, but Bitcoin Audio. I call him Mr. Audio. You know, like
Yeah.
it's just his name.
Yeah. And once you do find out people's names, it's just like you're still so used to calling them. Like I still call you Brekkie because I'm so used to calling you that, and it just like makes sense. Thank you for the follow AgroCat, and I also saw someone in the message say film industry vet because they came from the film industry as well. And I guess let's get into that. Let's get into your background, what you studied in school, and kind of where you got to like this creative outlet that you're doing now.
Sure. So originally, I went to undergrad, went to Penn, and studied. What did I study? I don't even remember. Russian studies and international relations. I like had kind of thought I wanted to go work abroad in Russia, and I ended up living there for 6 months, and I'm still semi-fluent. And when I got there, I realized quickly why my ancestors left. It's not that very difficult country to live in. And my values were changing. Like I like wanted to be like a businessman, and like then I like became a hippie basically, and like everything totally flipped. And I was like depressed in Moscow watching movies, and I'm like, I should go make movies. This is making me happy right now. So clearly, I followed that. And towards the end of my my undergrad, I started studying film there in terms of how countries use film, like in terms of their propaganda. So like I wrote my whole thesis on how various countries use their national film industries to kind of get across their messages and whatnot. And that kind of set the stage for like my understanding of storytelling and messaging and a lot of things I still use in Bitcoin today. And so right after school, I moved to LA. I started working for a really big producer, like the producer of the Hunger Games, basically. She was a studio head and like this like tiny little powerful, amazing lady. And she died a few years ago, so RIP. But from there, I went to film. No, from there, I went and worked at a talent agency for a little bit. And then I went to film school out here in LA. I studied producing. I wanted to make the world a better place through movies because I knew how powerful like propaganda is when it's used for the right reasons. And I quickly realized that actually achieving that was not very likely. I spent, let's say you spend a year or two making a movie and like there's no guarantee anyone sees it, and I was kind of having this realization and I made my first, I think it was the first Blockchain and Morty video I did. And it went viral in like, it took me like a day or two to make. And like the next day, like, 50,000 people saw it. And I was like, well, shit, I'm in the wrong industry because if I really want to reach people, like, this is not the way to do it. At that point, I didn't really know crypto, Bitcoin, any of that stuff. I just like, this is exciting. This is going to change the world. I don't know how yet, but it's going to. And I kind of threw myself into it and started learning. I had gotten some Bitcoin like years earlier. It was on my radar, but like I didn't know anything about it. Like it was actually when I went to Moscow, I was like, I need some money in case like my bank doesn't want to give me my money, and I need something that no one can take from me. And so I was kind of like a proto Bitcoiner. I just didn't know it yet. But that I didn't really go down that rabbit hole till later.
Got it. Okay, that's a very, very cool background, and I think we'll hear more about that kind of as we're discussing, because it sounds like that was the start of you wanting to express different topics that you were passionate about within film. And obviously, I see you doing that in so many different ways right now. And now you have a platform, obviously, on Twitter and amongst other places as well, that you can do that, and you can get those messages across in so many different ways. So I think that's important. Got some hey, Peter Tahoe, they're saying hi to us.
Oh, hey, Peter. Hope you're holding up well.
Yeah, it's interesting always hearing about people's backgrounds and seeing where it's led them, and how I can see that come through in other aspects of your work, because you have always been really talented in putting together, even when there are memes, like you've always been really talented in putting together those types of things, and just like making your final product really seamless and visually appealing. So I think that's awesome.
I think it's an inferiority complex with all the devs. Like I just like, oh, those Bitcoin Core devs, or like those Ethereum devs, they've got to be like 10 million times smarter than me. So I need to make this meme fucking perfect.
Yeah, and you do an awesome job at it. So and amongst other things as well that you do. Can you tell us how you discovered Bitcoin, and what interested you about it? Like what was the point that you started getting excited about it?
Yeah. So I kind of touched on it just now. I think it might have been like the Rolling Stone article that first came out years and years ago. Or it was just people talking about it in relation to like Silk Road in college. There was like, you hear about this thing? And so when I went to Russia, I was like, all right, I need to get some of this just in case. Like, what's the worst that could happen? Like, I may or may not have been briefly addicted to World of Warcraft. So like digital gold made sense to me.
Okay.
And so that's kind of when I got some. I bought 2 Bitcoins right before we dumped in end of 2013. And then I totally forgot about it.
But you didn't sell them off?
I didn't sell them off.
Oh, okay.
I never understood that. Like, if you're at like a 50% loss, why would you sell? Like,
there are a lot of people that have that story, that they had it early, they didn't want to lose everything, so they sold it all off.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
good for you.
Yeah, it was two Bitcoins. It could have been worse, and they then proceeded to lose most of them on altcoins. So it's fine. what was that next question? After that, how did I get back into it, kind of thing?
Yeah, I just wanted to know like how you got excited about it. Like what was the point? Like for me, like investing was really cool, and I liked that I saw that I was making a return.
Mm-hmm.
But that didn't necessarily get me like passionate and excited about Bitcoin. Like it took
Mm-hmm.
more than that. You know what I mean?
Uh, for sure, for sure. Like in the beginning, it was like in 20 end of 2017. That beginning, it was 100% number go up. I was just like looking at all these people and like people, and they were, keep in mind, they were people who had gotten in on ICOs. Like they weren't like total retail like me. So they were just like dumping on all of us, and I was losing money, but I was always just like, oh, the next one, yeah, it's gonna hit, whatever. Um, and I think when I had lost enough money and the market started going down, I was like, what did I do wrong there? Like something's off. I'm paying attention to the wrong things, or I didn't know enough. So I started like listening to podcasts, and it was actually Tales from the Crypt with Marty Bent and Matt Odell. Like I credit them 100% with turning me into a Bitcoiner.
That's awesome.
From there, it led me to just reading everything in the Bitcoin Standard and the Stefan Livera podcast on Austrian economics, and so it. When I got back to first principles, that's what it was. It was, I left number go up and I found a reason, and I was like, oh, this actually is going to change the world. It's not like it's just magic internet money. So.
Yeah. And when you started creating art, that was, do you want to talk about a little bit of like how you even started creating like the physical artwork that you create and why you started creating it?
Sure. So I was in between the film world and the crypto world. There was a crypto company. The friends of mine in LA who, well, actually, funny enough, it's the Tantra Labs where I'm working now. They had followed me from the beginning and seen all like the parody stuff I did, and they were thinking about making a play into like the media scene in crypto. And they approached me and wanted me to host a like Stephen Colbert style talk show where I'm just like this ridiculous character host talking about the news. And it just wasn't the right time. Like it was the beginning of the bear market, and we were all kind of in denial that it was the bear market. And that kind of fell apart. And I thought that was going to be my next gig. So I was really excited. I still have the pilot. It's fucking hilarious and will never see the light of day.
Well, now I need to see it, but okay.
I'll send it to you later. I haven't seen it in a year. It's probably, anyway. But I didn't know what I was going to do, because I was like, fuck, I can go back to film, which I didn't want to do, but I need to start making money somehow. And I was waiting for this TV show to hit. They were like, all right, we're going to do it next month, whatever. And so I was like, what am I going to do? I had enough savings to keep going. So I'll just make art. Like, I love art. Like, why don't I try to make this work? And physical art, because frankly, people like you intimidate the hell out of me, and graphic design is not my forte. But Havo's here. Hey, Havo.
Yeah, just saw him pop in, and for the follow, thank you,
Havo. So I just started experimenting, and one thing kind of led to another, and I'm living in a house with my brother here, so we have like a big backyard that actually lets me, like, gives me the space to try things that I couldn't do when I was living in an apartment, like working with really smelly toxic chemicals and concrete.
Which you seem to do a lot, which is pretty cool.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I like that I don't know how it's going to turn out, and I like that it's something that I don't know how to do. Like, if I was really good at it, I probably wouldn't do it, because then it kind of loses the freshness,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And how did you, like, you started experimenting with all of these things? Because I was seeing on Twitter you were posting like pouring concrete, resin, like smoothing out the resin and having like terrible toxic dust everywhere, and people were like, be careful as you're doing that. And you're like using all these cool crazy materials, and the finished product is really awesome. And I've seen some of those, like even those like half spheres that you do with the resin, which are so
these
cool.
Things kind of.
Yeah.
This is when I procrastinate, when I'm like, so I have like a giant 6-foot canvas in my garage that I'm like too scared to finish because I don't want to fuck it up. And whenever I'm in a position like that, I'm just like, oh, I'll go make a paperweight because I know how to do that.
Those are cool though.
I know it'll look cool.
and I'll tell
I'm
you
about
that.
To my, yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No.
Oh, I was gonna say, I'll tell you that every artist has that, like, or at least everyone that I know and have talked to has that I'm scared to finish it moment, or like I can't, I'm not inspired by it and I need to put it away, which sounds like such an artist thing to say, but like sometimes it's you just can't finish it at that point, or else you'll know you will ruin it. Like
Hmm.
so you just have to put it away, and you like can't come back to it again until you're ready. So
Well,
everyone has
it's
that.
also like I used to meditate a lot, and I'm kind of fell off that train. But like when you meditate, the point is not to not think; it's to not judge any thoughts that come into your mind, or at least one
Mm.
form of meditation. And so I almost see it kind of as similar to that, in that like when you stop trying to come up with the ideas and just let your mind zone out on something else, then like your ideas for what you're actually working on will actually flow a lot better. Like it's like why, like if you're in the middle of work, like you go like, they say go for a walk or something, you get your
Right.
mind off of it, and oftentimes it works.
That's awesome. Yeah. No, I completely agree with you there. And what has been your like as you once you did start creating physical art and started putting that out there, did you feel like the community was excited about it? What like did you feel that you got good feedback? Like what was the overall kind of like sentiment around it, I guess?
I mean, it comes and goes. I'm like admittedly a very, very new artist. I'm self-taught. I have a follower base, but I don't think it's necessarily because of like me being an artist necessarily. um, and so some things are cool, some things people are like, I get no reaction from. I also purposefully have not really put a lot of it out for sale yet. Some of it has been. I like have released one edition of my newsletter, and I'm currently working on my like BTC pay server, like self-hosted website, and I'm going to put everything up. I really wanted to kind of like, because this is my hobby essentially, like I'm paying the bills elsewhere, like I
Mm-hmm.
kind of have this luxury. Like I wanted to find my style and figure out the artwork. Like I've got 5 concrete things sitting next to me in my office that I'll probably never show anyone, because you know maybe they were cool at the time, but now I'm just like, oh, that's garbage. Like now I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out what I like to do.
And
uh,
I mean, even when you, like, I don't know, I always feel like some things are garbage, but you just have to, like, part with it and move on.
oh
And
yeah.
even, like, parting with it sometimes does mean, like, if it's still in your mind, you might have issues with it, but it's sellable and it's beautiful in other people's minds,
Hmm.
part with it. Just, like, sell it and move on.
I feel like most artists, like if you've got that artist in you, like you're just never satisfied,
Yeah,
and you have to learn to
totally.
accept that, and it's fun.
Totally. I think that's really exciting that you are exploring like all of these different artistic outlets for yourself and to show other people with this deeper meaning behind it. I think that's really really special and really exciting because for me, I've done art my whole life, but it's always been like a side thing or a hobby
Hmm.
or just something that I never like fully focused on and never ever thought I'd be doing my career in it. Not because I didn't love it; it was my favorite thing ever to do, but just because I didn't think I could. And I think that it's really special when other people also start enjoying that art. But then also, once I found Bitcoin, I had the reason to make the art,
Hmm.
and the reason behind it was what kept me doing it for so long, and now the reason why I'll do it forever. I don't plan on
Hmm.
ever stopping. So once I got that reason, then I couldn't let it go, and I had to get the ideas out onto a canvas or whatever it is if it's digital. So I think that's really exciting that you're exploring this through something that has a really important meaning.
Hmm.
Hey, Dang VR, thanks for joining. So that kind of leads into another, and I'll pull up some questions that other people had too, because right now I'm
Hmm.
selfish and asking all of my own questions.
I mean, it's your show, but yeah.
um, my computer is being a little frozen. Okay, I guess I am going to ask my own questions for now because my other computer is frozen. But if you guys do have questions that you sent in that in case I don't answer them or remember them, just put them in the chat on Twitch and we'll keep talking about them. Um, but another thing I wanted to talk to you about in general, I want to just talk about what you're doing at Tantra Labs
Mhm.
and Swan. I want to talk about what you're doing there and a little bit about the company so people can hear about that.
Sure. So Tantra was the first company I started working at, probably about 8 months or so, and at the time they No one really knew about them except for like our clients. And basically, kind of in a nutshell, what we do is we have a proprietary algorithmic trading platform, and we trade Bitcoin options and futures, and whichever way the market's going, we're just following the direction. And so we have a lot of kind of big Bitcoin holder clients who, we take their Bitcoin holdings and increase them. Unfortunately, like if you're like I'm not a trader anymore. Like I quickly realized I cannot do that. I can't take my emotion out of trading. I'm bad at it. And then there are companies like us that like we're using bots that are smarter than everyone. You know, and we get out of our trades when we need to. And so far we're doing very, very well. If you're interested, hit me up. We'll send you all the docs and all that stuff. We are hopefully going to be opening up to a much wider audience and allowing more people to benefit from what we do. So that's really exciting, and the team there is spectacular. A lot of kind of like OG Bitcoiners and really young devs and really old advisors who all come together, and like it's like a meeting of the minds like I've never had before. So check us out. You can find us on Twitter and Medium, all that stuff. And Swan, if you don't know what Swan is, then you must not be on Twitter, because we're very loud, and we are the easiest, easiest, most affordable way to automatically buy Bitcoin, and automatically withdraw it straight to your wallet. We have lower fees than when you're doing automatic, lower fees than anybody. We are Bitcoin only, and we have a major focus on education as well. We have a really hilarious Twitter account, so follow us there. And it's honestly, it's been a blast. I started working for them probably a month ago. I've been advising them for a while. It's the same company that does Give Bitcoin, which allows you to gift Bitcoin to people. And so they've been trying to get me on the Swan team for a while. And I was like, all right, after Bitcoin 2020, I'll be available. And that kind of fell through. So here I am.
So you became available a little bit sooner.
Exactly. And I'm wearing, a number of hats there. I'm partially handling social media, but anything kind of creative, I have a hand in. Like we did a really cool video that we put out the other day that was kind of like a montage of Bitcoiners staying connected, and it was set to a Bitcoin rewrite of Green Day's "Good Riddance," like "Time of Your Life." So super cheesy, but like super fun, and tons of people sent in clips for us to use. So I don't know. I'm not going to use that stupid word "blessed" because I hate that word, but I'm very lucky. Okay. Because it's a mission-driven company, and I'm like on the same mission as them, and we get to have a lot of fun, and help people. So
yeah, and that also, we have some funny questions coming in, so I'm going to ask you these. But that also helps you or changed my life once I started doing something that I was really passionate about. That totally changes your perspective, like changes your time outside of work as well, because you're happier and you don't have to think about and stress about the job you hate or the job you're not passionate about. You can like be creative and think about other things. But we had some questions come through. I'll start with the ones from the top from Dank VR. Have you read Snow Crash?
I have read Snow Crash. It's been a while, but I have. I love it.
You love it? And do you like VR chat? Or have you been?
I haven't used VR chat yet. I've used the other one that they're using for meetups. What's it called? Altspace VR. But I need to get into VR chat because you can do custom avatars, I think, right?
Yeah. And Dank VR is the guy asking this is actually the guy that you need to know for those sort of things. So I'll set you guys up because he's my metaverse liaison. Like he knows everything and everyone. So
he's putting some really interesting things in the chat that I've never seen before. A Kipo and a PogChamp. What are these things? They're wonderful.
I don't know.
They're like emojis, but better.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't know how you do that. I'm really new to Twitch. I think you have to like be special to do that. So I think he's special. Okay, so we got
Swan cash to fiat. Cash to fiat. What does that mean?
Can you? I'm assuming transfer your Bitcoin into. I don't know. You would just
Swan
cash
is
out?
Swan is one way. So we automatically pull from your bank account and automatically buy Bitcoin, and then you either can leave it with Prime Trust. You can leave it with us, but under Prime Trust, or you can withdraw it or set it for automatic withdrawals. But we're not an exchange, and we don't do trading, or you can't sell Bitcoin. We just trying to onboard people. So
okay, that's awesome. And how, like, what? I'm assuming you can do pretty small amounts if you wanted to, or okay.
Yeah, as little as $5 a month.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it's super
easy. You guys
easy.
have no excuse to not be doing that then.
Even if you're like a trader, like, and you want to get those mad gains, man, like, start accumulating a little nest egg of Bitcoin. Like, what can't hurt.
All right, if you had a lot of drinks at a bar, who would you pick as your designated driver? And you have to pick one: John McAfee or Craig Wright. Yeah, I think I know your answer, but
John McAfee in a heartbeat. Like, I would like. He's crazy, yes, but I'm pretty sure that guy is more functional on more drugs and substances than anybody. And Craig Wright, like, he would crash and tell you that we didn't crash. You know, I'm not.
All right. Wow, we have a lot of really random, funny questions.
They're awesome questions. Keep them coming.
All right. Well, I have another one. Which would Brekkie rather fight? 1 horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? What?
Oh, give me a second. Or 100 duck-sized horses.
So one massive duck.
Yeah.
Or a ton of horses that are the size of or 100 horses that are the size of ducks.
That's a really tough question, actually, I think, because, big horse-sized duck has got a big, whatever those duck feet are called, right? A duck foot. But then you get 100 duck-sized horses, they could run you over. But also, wait a second, they're 100 duck-sized horses. That's pretty darn cute.
Yeah, and you could kind of jump.
I'm just gonna open up a petting zoo. Yeah, I'll take the 100 duck-sized horses.
Okay. Okay. Some of these.
Damon, I haven't read it. We're not gonna
have to read all these. Dang VR also said that he had 2 coffees right before this, which it's pretty late to be having coffee, so he's going crazy. I love it.
I don't know who this guy is, but I like him already. He seems cool.
Interesting choice. He's awesome. He's very cool, and I'll definitely get you guys set up if you want to get into VR chat. He said didn't have much sleep. Okay, let's get back to the art. So I would love to start talking to you about what if you like NFTs, if you're interested in what NFTs are, what your experience with them is. I know you wanted to see what Counterparty was all about, so you made a NFT on Counterparty, or at least went through part of the process. So I would love to just dive into that topic a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, so I did make an NFT, but it was an artist token. So it's almost like you can think of it as like a parent directory under which I could then issue other tokens. But since I made that, I haven't actually made any NFTs on there. Counterparty is cool. I mean, like, for what it is, it's really interesting, but there's just not very much activity, and it's not ideal, and it doesn't do it for me. In terms of NFTs in general, this is how many rare peppies I got. Sorry, I'm reading the chat.
No, it's fine. Go for it. Oh no, that's what the Twitch is. Twitch is for.
So I actually have 0 rare pepes, but I have a lot of those stupid Pepe DAP cards back when I was shitcoining, and I got pulled into those scammers. So.
Also, people want to know if you're gonna grow your hair back out.
That's a hard maybe. It's a hard maybe.
Okay.
I'm not against it, but I'm also. It's kind of hot,
Yeah.
So much easier this way. I'd get paint in my hair when I was painting, or like. Anyway, where do you want to go with NFTs? We could go anywhere with this discussion. Like,
I know.
There's a lot to talk about.
So let's do this first. And if you want to change this up, go for it. What would make you excited about making? Well, I guess, what value do you see in NFTs? Maybe that's a better place to start, because maybe you see different value than I see, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. I think we have to differentiate between NFTs for natively digital art and NFTs for physical art. They're like slightly different things, I think. And they can be linked. You can have them for both. But like when it comes to physical art, which is kind of what I prefer to make in general, I don't see that much value for NFTs. And I'll tell you why. Basically, I'm kind of a believer that when you try to put anything physical on a blockchain, there's always an oracle problem. There's always the issue that whoever's inputting the information, there might be a mistake, or it's not, because it's not natively digital. It can be kind of gimmicky, and it doesn't actually accomplish what you think it's accomplishing. Maybe not always the case, and maybe there's also kind of that issue with digitally native NFTs anyway. Like you always kind of have to trust the artist a little bit. But I think in general, where NFTs can be really valuable is they can maybe form a better chain of provenance for ownership. Not perfect, because I don't think you could ever get it perfect, but I think it could be a lot better. For something that's totally digitally native, like that's a whole nother game, I think. But and I like it's just, it allows artists to, like, even like yourself and like others, like to totally empower themselves and find markets where they're to create markets that didn't exist before. Like I kind of hate the traditional art world. Like I said to myself when I was making art, and not that I'm anywhere near like at this level, but I was like, I don't want to be in a gallery. Like I don't want my shit at Christie's or where Sotheby's. Like I'm not going to try for that. If they come calling, fine. But like, I don't want to be part of the traditional system. Like I want to grow a fan base myself. I think I can do it on Twitter. I think I can do it within crypto and Bitcoin and do it myself. Like this is like, I'm a self-sovereign person.
Yeah, of course.
And so NFTs I think can be super powerful for that. And like you're like living proof of that working. But the problem, and you're on board with this too, I think, is that like this, it's not a perfect system yet. I think it's really cool, the idea of having the forgive my lack of knowledge on the terminology, but like the art itself living on a blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a really cool idea in theory. I just don't think it works in practice. Maybe it could, I don't know. Things that I think need to be worked out, like NFTs, I think they need to be able to live on. Like if we're gonna break the wheel and not just reinvent it, like these projects need to be actually decentralized, and they need to be able to survive beyond the people who are making like what's the platform you use? Rare Art, is that the platform you use?
No, there are platforms out there. I use OpenSea, but there are platforms like Super Rare or Known Origin, Maker's Place. I don't use that platform. But
if all of these, if the guys and gals running these like disappeared overnight, like would the NFTs live on? Some of them would, maybe, right? But like others maybe wouldn't. Like they're dependent on the platform.
Yeah, that's an interesting topic, and there are a lot of those platforms host images on IPFS, which obviously still has a ton. Your hometown friend got snubbed by Super Rare. I'd love to hear more about that.
Brekkie's the Bob Ross of our generation.
Yeah, I didn't want to cut you off, but I did see that.
We're just gonna draw some happy bees right here, right there.
Your book is
some happy bees.
Showing up.
Oh no.
Oh, there we go. Oh, there. Oh,
yeah. Happy bees.
Love it.
Anyway.
But it is interesting to go off what you first said about not wanting to be in a gallery. I'm totally with you, and I actually avoid a lot. I avoid many, if not all, and I can talk about the ones that I am on, but all art-specific platforms. I don't want to be in some special curated, only for these types of artists, only these artists are accepted. I think they have done really amazing things for the space, so I'm not putting it down at all. But I also, it's not something that I don't want to be a part of that narrative, so I've minted my NFTs in a different way and sell them on OpenSea, which is the largest. It's like the eBay for NFTs. CryptoKitties, all games, VR Land, everything is sold on OpenSea. And there's only a handful of artists on OpenSea that purely do OpenSea and not other places. There is some art when you were mentioning that's actually on chain. and there is some art that is actually on chain, but DankVR actually mentioned it in the chat. It's really, really limited. It would be SVGs or really small PNGs. Like for example, have you seen CryptoPunks?
Yes, I have seen.
Okay, so like
CryptoPunks.
CryptoPunks are on chain, autoglyphs are on chain, something called Avastars is on chain. But really a lot of like the actual like full resolution or even something I do, that is really, really expensive to store on chain.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't make sense right now.
Have you ever let me interrupt you real
Yeah.
quick. Like something I've toyed with, I'm just not really technical enough to actually do it. Like I wonder if there's a way to kind of create like a, how would you say this? Like some sort of like NFC chip that's embedded in your painting that has like a private key on it that like you can, not a private key, but basically you can use cryptography to verify without actually like opening it up and seeing, like scanning it and then having it somehow be tied to the blockchain. Like I don't
So
know.
that's where it gets a little tricky. So when I was first creating crypto art, I was like, I'm gonna put a NFC tag on all of, and I still have like hundreds, if not thousands, in one of my drawers over here. I was like, I'm gonna put an NFC tag on every single one, and obviously, like if you peel it off, like then it'll be, it'll be tampered, so then it won't be authentic, and blah blah blah.
Did you
But
do it because Steve Wan told you that you should?
no, I didn't even know him at the time. This was
No,
before I knew
I saw
him.
him and he was like, you need to like do these like
He wants you to do these holographic stickers
yeah,
on
yeah, yeah,
mine.
yeah,
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 yeah. Which those are actually pretty cool.
They're really
but,
cool, yeah.
But no, I didn't know him at the time, and I just thought like this is gonna be the way. But then also NFC tags, whatever you link it to, you can literally copy that information and link another NFC tag to it. So it just like I personally don't know the exact way that that would work. And I don't know a way that it would make sense. There might be someone more technical that knows a way, but for me, that it definitely didn't make sense for what I was doing.
Yeah, that's my worry. I think that's also kind of, at least in part, why I love physical art so much, and why I like art that is kind of dependent on chance and like happenstance of like how materials work. Because like, look at like something like even a paperweight. It's just like, okay, good fucking luck trying to recreate that. Like you just won't be able to. Like physics, like everything would have to be exactly the same. So,
Yeah, and I do think I think physical art and NFTs, they often have different collector bases, and sometimes they do cross over, but it's often a different group. And I think NFTs for me are totally different than physical art, and the reason why people are buying them are also normally pretty different. Um, Physical art, people are committing to putting that up on their wall in their house. It's something that they connect with. It's something that they tells a part of their journey as well, or they have some connection with it because they, whatever, have they liked the CryptoPunk in the piece or whatever it is. They have a personal connection. They want to show other people. They want it in their home with their family. All this stuff. NFTs, I often see a lot of NFTs. They're for virtual galleries, which is really cool. But a lot of it is about investment. It's not necessarily about needing to have like provenance that's connected to the physical piece. It's not really that at all. And I rarely see that.
It's not the like collecting aspect of it though.
It is, but I'm saying it's not. It's not related to the physical piece at all. Like it's totally separate in most cases, and a lot of it is for the investment to kind of have a little bit. I think a lot of it has to do with like social. I don't know the right way of saying it, but like showing off what you have, kind of like it has to do a lot with that. And that's why people show it in virtual spaces. But it definitely just feels very different than physical art to me. And I love them both, but for different things.
So I've got a question for you. What's a guy got to do to get an original Josie that isn't a print? How do I get one of those?
An original painting?
Yeah. These are so. I'm sorry. I'm looking at your website right now.
Yeah, they're all
I think it's your favorite.
Now.
The one with the purple arm. It's just like, oh my god, it's badass.
Yeah, no, they're currently all sold out, which I'm super thankful for, and I just can't say thank you enough to everyone that collects the art. I have some pieces coming out.
Get in line, bro. Havo. Sorry. It's so good. How about let's split one and we'll share it. 6 months at yours, 6 months at mine.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, how about that? Yep, how about that deal? Deal. And you guys are close enough that you can do that. Physically close enough.
How do you ship physical things anonymously?
Yeah, so I ship
Whoa.
to PO boxes. There's actually quite often I've shipped to PO boxes. I also have shipped to companies as well, which obviously is a little bit like it depends on what company you're working at. Like back a long time ago, I was shipping stuff to like Monero Artworks, which obviously those people were like super anonymous to like names that I'd never even heard of and sounded like fake companies.
That's interesting. So some of your art is with people and you don't know who it is.
No, and they pay me in Bitcoin, so I don't have to know who they are. So it's kind of interesting. There's definitely some people who are anonymous, and I shipped something to someone who has a PO box, and because of the lockdown, they like haven't even gone to check it, or they don't even know if it's there. And I'm like, I hope it is. But yeah, that's how we do it anonymously. And sorry, I was just reading the chat. But no, I think that's interesting. I would love, or in general, I know we've been in a couple discussions like this off on the side. But where do you think like NFTs coming to Bitcoin? Where do you think we are in that process? Like, do you see that happening anytime soon in a powerful way, or do you even want to see it happen?
I do want to see it happen. I very much do want to see it happen. I honestly, I can't say how far along they are. Like I'm in the Telegram chat and I just haven't had time to pay attention. I know Giacomo Zucco is working on RGB on that protocol, which I believe leverages, I think don't quote me on this. It somehow uses the Lightning Network to essentially establish a standard for NFTs that is decentralized and not centralized. That's dumb. But yeah, I think we'll see it. I just don't think it's a priority. I wrote about this when I wrote that NFT article. It's not really even a priority for me. Like maybe this is a good time we should talk about this because I feel like we talk about this like privately. Is the like difference between like artists using crypto and like crypto artists, and like they're all crypto artists, yes, but like
I don't know if I even agree with that statement.
Well, look, I wouldn't classify them as crypto artists unless they're trying to push. This is my definition, and I think yours. It's like trying to push crypto forward. That makes you a crypto artist.
Yep, I agree, and I should have mentioned that earlier and I should probably mention it on a lot of these streams because I always say NFT art and crypto art, and I use them separately. But some people might think that I'm using them synonymously, but I'm not. Yes, say as Brekkie just said to me, NFT art is tokenized art, so it can be crypto art, but just because someone is tokenizing artwork does not mean it is crypto art. It has to be, in my opinion, crypto themed. It has to have, that topic behind it and that content to be crypto art. So I agree with you there.
I'll play a little bit of devil's advocate. I'm with you. I personally wouldn't classify someone who tokenizes art that has nothing to do with crypto as a crypto artist. That's just how I would classify them.
Oh, but no, me neither. Maybe I said it confusingly. I would classify them as an NFT artist.
Right. No, I'm agreeing with you. With you. I'm saying I wouldn't either, but they might. But in the same way that like some people might say I'm not an artist, or you're not an artist, or so and so's not an artist. Like to me, it's all like it's just terminology. Like, and at the end of the day, like in 100 years they'll classify it differently, and it doesn't really matter.
Agreed.
Like if some guy who does doodles of the Bitcoin logo, you want to call yourself an artist, bro? Fucking great. Like you're an artist. Like it's in here. It's not out here.
Yeah, and I agree. And when I was saying that, I definitely don't want to say that I can judge anyone making anything, that if you think you're an artist, you are totally an artist. I meant as in like, you can't really call oil painting digital art because it's an oil painting, you know what I mean? So that's what I meant. But of course, if someone makes an oil painting, they're an oil painter, like no matter what it looks like, even if it's a box of black. So
is that a dig on somebody that we know?
A dig on who?
I'll talk to you later about it. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either.
Then it wasn't. Never mind.
Okay. But should we talk about something? I don't know.
What?
We'll see what comes through the chat.
Oh.
Um, but yeah, no, I think that is an important and interesting conversation. I would love to talk to you. Yeah, Dang VR said just keep making, which is a great way to say it. Oh, and AgroCat is in here. Says they have a print of Resistencia. Yes, I that piece means a lot to me, and I'm really glad you have that piece. And I've actually seen your picture of it hanging in your house, and thank you for sharing that, because that's one of my favorite things, to actually see the art in its new home. It's super special. But yeah, no, thank you. I would love to talk about, and I'm super excited to talk about this, also a little embarrassed to talk about this, but I would love to talk about our project that we're working together on, and tell everyone a little bit about it. And
she's embarrassed because she's been slacking. That's
yes.
why.
Yes, no. That's why I'm embarrassed. I was going to out myself, but you just did it for me.
She's been working on other stuff, and she's been very apologetic, and it's fine.
But I will say, I am I genuinely mean this, I am so excited for this project. So basically, Brekkie, we were chatting, and he has written this beautiful, beautiful book. And I would love if you would read like an excerpt of it for the crowd here. But he was working, or wrote this beautiful script, and asked me if I would be interested in illustrating the book. And I honestly said I didn't have time. And then Brekkie said he wasn't in any rush, which now he's probably regretting saying those words, because I have been super slammed and have totally not been where I need to be with this project. So still working on it, but I'm super excited about it. What he wrote, what you'll hear a piece of it hopefully after this, is super powerful. It's succinct. It just means a lot, and I think is really educational, as well as entertaining, which is pretty cool to have that balance. And I think your experience in film school and writing and everything totally shines through. I'm super excited to illustrate this book. I already have some components and some basic things of what I want everyone to look like. But it's going to be really fun once we release the cover and release the book and show everyone kind of like behind the hood of it. But do you want to read a little bit of it for everyone?
I can read a little bit. I can maybe give a little more background.
Yeah, please.
What part should I read? There's a lot to
totally
it.
Up to you. You could read as much or as little as you want.
Yeah, I'll start from the beginning, and then we'll look at the audience and see if they're like, stop, and then I'll stop.
Okay.
Yeah, but basically it's called, as of now, Rhyming Bitcoin, because all the best books start with a gerund, apparently, like programming Bitcoin and all that stuff. And I basically thought, I was reading a book that I'm not going to name because I like it, but I think a lot of the beginner Bitcoin books are not so beginner. They're written by people who are very technical, and they think they're writing for beginners, and in reality, like, they're just not. And so I was like, all right, how can I do this in a way that, how can I get across the importance, the why of Bitcoin in a way that will be approachable and fun and not, kind of bore you. And one day I was basically writing I do a lot of weird tweets. I'm addicted to weird tweets and kind of pushing buttons and trying weird things. And I was just like, all right, let me try to write something in like the style of Dr. Seuss. And so I wrote like a poem that kind of went semi-viral in Bitcoin Twitter. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. People like that. And I had fun writing it. And I was like, all right, what if I did a whole book? And I just like kind of started writing it and seeing where it went. And that's how that happened. And then I was looking for someone to illustrate it, and here we are. All right. I guess I should just get to the point, right?
Yes, read them their bedtime story.
Right. Let me get the chat open so I can look at all the haters. All right, haters, let's do this. In 2008, when the world was aflame, a cypherpunk surfaced and refused us his name. Decentralized money, Satoshi proposed, and with a paper so white, Bitcoin arose. How Finney believed, and others did too, in a future with Bitcoin, for me and for you. A world in which people, no matter how small, can interact as sovereigns, once and for all. Such a world hadn't been, nor would it be, until Bitcoin arrived, for you and for me. But Satoshi's great work was only the beginning. There was much left to do, and the dollar was winning. But what, you may ask, did the dollar do wrong? It's been working just fine. We've had it so long. Perhaps it is time to go for a stroll. Yes, now is the time to speak of control. The government tells us our markets are free, but money is restricted. So how can that be? If money can't flow to where it needs go, then all of this freedom, it's simply a show. Money is a good, just like clothes or food, but the state sets the price. How controlling, how rude. And the day is soon approaching when cash will be banned. Freedom will slip away like fine grains of sand. Even worse than this problem of supply and demand is the problem of scarcity. I'll help you understand. Mixtape. Should I continue, audience? You liking this? You're not tired yet?
Yeah, no, everyone's commenting that they love it.
Cool. Thank you. Is this what artists do? I think apparently.
Sure.
Simply a show, help you understand. All right, here we are. If Alice has 2 rocks and Billy Bob has 3, that's 5 rocks in total. Pretty easy to see. Now imagine that 1 rock is used to buy fruit. So 1 rock times 1,000, that's some pretty good loot. And if all through the land 1,000,000 rocks had been found, this Stone Age economy would be prosperous and sound. But wait, what if Roger dug more rocks from the ground? Roger went digging, and digging he dug. He dug till he found more rocks than he could lug. To the market he went to buy all the fruit. Wait, I lost my spot. And with many rocks to spare, he bought a new suit. The thing about markets, they're smarter than us. Big deal, you might say. Why all the fuss? Well, the markets, they know something that you might not see. That rocks, for example, make bad currency. For if Roger can cheaply inflate the supply, well, Alice's rocks, they lose their power to buy. The more rocks there are, the less fruit they're worth. And there are so very many rocks here on Earth. Now, what do these rocks have to do with the dollar? Well, this here is Murray. Go ask him. He's a scholar. All right, now use your imaginations. We're going to draw Murray. It's like a Murray Rothbard thing. Anyway, moving on. Hey, Murray, what's wrong with the dollar we use? It's backed by the government. What can we lose? Hi, Alice. Hi, Bob. I'll try to explain how government money is a runaway train. So dollars like rocks, they don't mean much, you see, for the silly state can print them, and they do so carefree. The silly state prints dollars all day and all night. They keep printing dollars, and prices take flight. The more dollars there are, the less fruit they're worth, and there are so very many dollars here on Earth. The state makes you think, too, that hoarding is bad. And if you're not spending, you'll be so very sad. But hoarding's not bad. In fact, that's just a name. Hoarding is just saving. It's exactly the same. And saving is good. We save so we can grow our wealth, our families. You reap what you sow. If a farmer did sell all the fruits of her labor without seeds for next year, no one could save her. And a saver is precisely what our farmers should be, to grow more fruit next year, for you and for me. This all relates to scarcity, which the dollar has not. Without scarcity, like fruit, your dollars will rot. The silly state prints money, more dollars each year. More money, more dollars, what's there to fear? Just like Roger's rocks, money's, I can't talk. More money's a bad deal. When the state prints more money, it's your value they steal. Even if you save dollars inside a bank's vault, they'll lose value each year, and it won't be your fault. Banks all loan out dollars more than they take in. For this reason, I'll take out my sad violin. And I'll play you a song of money gone wrong, of fractional lending, and the weak versus the strong. Murray, we don't want to hear your violin. Just tell us, please tell us, how can we win? Fine then, I'll stop, Murray said with chagrin. This, Bob and Alice, is where Bitcoin comes in. Bitcoin is scarce, and you can't just make more. For this reason, we often see Bitcoin's price soar, like today. But as more people use it, the price finds a floor. No matter how loud the politicians roar. They tell us that Bitcoin's for bad guys and thugs. They tell us that Bitcoin is used to buy drugs. But criminals prefer dollars, paper money you can't track. So why then is Bitcoin under constant attack? Bitcoin, you see, threatens government control. Bitcoin, in fact, is a power black hole. It sucks in the power that politicians crave, and it gives us the power to save. But wait, Murray, Bitcoin's too expensive to buy. I can't afford a whole one, so why should I try? A whole coin sounds nice, but sats are what you need. Sats are Satoshis, right? Yes, Bob, indeed. Sats are Satoshis, 100 million to the coin. Guard your I gotta practice this one. Guard your sats fiercely, else a thief will purloin. But the point here is this, that fractions are okay. Start stacking sats now, and you'll thank me one day. So we keep stacking sats, but then what do we do? Where do we keep them? Can we give them to you? The choice here is yours, but here's what I say. Not your keys, not your coins. Don't give them away. If you'd like to use Bitcoin, you need no permission. And if you'd like to stop Bitcoin, there's no one to petition. Murray, wait a sec. What if something goes wrong? If I mess up a transaction, is that Bitcoin just gone? That Bitcoin's not gone. It's where you sent it to be. If you're going to use Bitcoin, responsibility is key. To be your own bank, there's much you should learn. But once you learn Bitcoin, you'll keep what you earn. But what about in places where money is tight, where speech is restricted all day and all night? Can Bitcoin help people under violent regimes? Can Bitcoin help realize their hopes and their dreams? There are so many people with lives that are rough, but Bitcoin was made for when times there are tough. I want you to meet my dear friend Manuela. She hails from a land that they call Venezuela. Hola amigos, les tengo algo que decir, que Bitcoin es el futuro y la luna se va a ir. Bitcoin me ayuda a ahorrar mi dinero, en mi mente no hay duda, mi porvenir es certero. And real quick, I think Havo, you helped me with the lyric, with the words right there, so thank you for that. Bitcoin safeguards her money, Manuela just said, because Venezuela's currency is pretty much dead. The bolivar, like the dollar, has no cap on its supply. Now add in a tyrant, and the bolivar will die. Gracias, Manuela. Thanks, Murray. Now what else should we know? Where can we buy Bitcoin? Tell us where to go. I can't do it for you. Gotta learn on your own. Do your own research, as the mantra is known. The great promise of Bitcoin is money that's sound, permissionless value, a true common ground, a world in which people, no matter how small, can interact as sovereigns once and for all. All right, we're done. Ish. Havo, that was you, right? Yeah, that was you.
That was awesome.
Is there hot cocoa after this? We're gonna finger paint and we're gonna do hot cocoa.
We also got some comments about Roger forking his rocks. So I thought that was taken pretty well. That was awesome. And you will be left wanting more because once this whole book is put together, we have some really awesome things in store for not only just the illustrations of everything, but as you know and heard and learned, if you didn't know, Brekkie went to film school, so he didn't want to just stop there. So we're going to do even more than just illustration. So it's going to be exciting once it all gets put
if only
together.
There was an artist who did like augmented reality or something. That would be pretty cool. Actually, Josie, awesome. Let's make this one a success first. But somebody wanted me to do a rhyming version like this that is all about the technical side of Bitcoin.
That would be so cool.
Would be like a freaking pain in the ass like no other, because I'd have to like
research
really study a lot more. But
that would be awesome because it would be educational for everyone and me as well. But yeah, I know everyone said bravo, clap, clap. It was awesome. And I do want to, we don't have to keep on here too much longer, but I do want to ask you a little bit about your accents and because you have done so many funny, like, we were chatting before the stream. Yes, it will be a great bedtime story for the kids. We were chatting before the stream, and you always used to have this accent that when I met you in person and you didn't have it, I was a little bit confused. I'm not even gonna lie. But can you tell us a little bit about how that started and like why you're so interested in that and how you're really good at it?
Sure. So, um, oh, that right. Sorry. So I was coming out of film school, and if you remember, I was saying that I went down by that name, Crypto Breakfast.
Yep.
That was like the name of my account. And in film school, we had the dean of our school was this German guy who I despised. I couldn't stand him. And I would make fun of him all the time. And I would like do this accent to like just play with him. And like every time I saw him, I would talk to him like this. And like they did like those like even like superlatives at the end of the year. And I won like best impression of Jan, our dean. So I was very proud of that. And I was like, I want to do something with this. And I want to hide who I am. So I just started using this accent and I never broke character. And for the longest time, that's where like Brekkie, like Von Bitcoin came from. Because I was like, all right, I got to have a German last name. And even when I went to conferences or like podcasts, like I never broke character. Maybe like the people behind like the podcast. Well, yeah, it like became tiring and like it got to a point where I didn't want to be a clown anymore. I wanted to like actually like contribute to the ecosystem and help build it. And like I had beliefs now. And so I kind of gave that up. Am I in LA? You might have heard me at Long Beach meetup once. Yeah, actually. I think I went once or twice. Sorry. But I've always loved accents, and that's kind of where the blockchain and Morty stuff came from. And that's where I like really probably grew my following, honestly. I like started doing all these voiceover. I thought I was out of film school. I was like, how can I be creative? Oh, maybe I'll do voice work. Like that seems like something I would have fun doing.
You're really good at it.
So here's the trick that most people don't realize. If you're ever thinking about voice work, is that doing an accent or doing a voice is one thing. Acting is still acting, and you have to be a good actor in order to like. You can do voices. That's one thing. You know, I can do funny stuff, but like to be a dramatic voiceover person, oh no, like you gotta be able to cry on demand, you know, that kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah, so I just experimented and I had fun, and then I used like my editing skills that I was like just teaching myself stuff, and one thing led to another. I did like my brother had one of those fake Rick and Morty guns, like portal guns, and it made like a sound and like threw a light out on the wall, and I was just like, I'll send it to you later. I'm not going to show people anymore, but it's basically like a terrible V1 of Blockchain and Morty of me like kind of like trying to do it. And I was like, oh, maybe I can animate the intro. Oh, maybe I can do a 1 minute version. Oh, and then it kind of expanded and became this like parody cultural critique that just like I would just lampoon everything that was going on. And if you can find all the episodes, most of them are on YouTube, but it like you'll actually see my sort of journey from like crypto to Bitcoin just by watching them, because the tone totally changes, the content changes, and they get a lot better. So don't judge me in the early days.
No, I do remember actually a question, and my other laptop turned off, and I was sure it was charged, so I'm not sure why. But and if you guys, we're gonna wrap up soon, so if you have more questions, post them in the chat now. But I do remember a question that did come in. I'm sorry, I don't remember who it came in from, but they asked, have you owned anything else besides Bitcoin, which you just said you did? You don't have to share exactly what, but when did you transition completely, or I guess out of everything else and into the rest into Bitcoin?
It's a good question. I want to say it might be about a year ago. I definitely started becoming a Bitcoiner probably 2 years ago. So I've been a Bitcoin only focus for the most part, but I also then kind of made the mistake of thinking, oh yeah, these alts are going to go up, so I should just hold on to them. I'm waiting for the right moment. And at some point I was just like, screw this. I dumped them. I took the loss, put everything into Bitcoin, and kind of never looked back. And it's not, for anyone who's watching, like that's not really a Bitcoin or bust thing. Like I have reasons. And I no hate if like you want to go support any other coin. I'm just like a sound money maximalist and think that money is kind of it's a zero-sum game, and that in the long term it'll all trend towards Bitcoin. So
yeah, no,
this is a debate for another show. But
yeah, no, absolutely. No.
But yes, I've owned many shit coins. I can list them. They were fun at the time, then they became not fun, And here's the real thing, like the one thing I'll say, now that I have the mic, is if you're gonna hold something, have some Brekkie loves Dentacoin. No, have conviction around it. Like, or just trade it. If you're just trading it, fine. I don't give a shit. Like, you want to trade Dentacoin to make more Bitcoin or to make more dollars, that's a totally separate venture than like being a supporter of a project. Like, I used to shill shit that I didn't understand the first thing about because I was still trying to figure it out. And I was like, this is exciting. And like other people on Twitter was like, yeah, it is. And I was like, oh, people are paying attention to me. Cool. And it was like, no, this is stupid. Figure out why you're doing what you're doing, and then you'll be a lot better off.
I also think it's really, I just want to applaud you and just recognize that throughout this whole entire conversation, you've kind of had this reflection on some things that maybe you did in the past, or I think you're a little bit too humble about your art skills, because you're definitely very talented.
Thank
but
you. I have to interrupt you, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
When somebody says, I need to applaud you, it's usually followed by this. Thank you. Thank you.
I was going to verbally applaud you, but okay, I'll physically applaud you as well. But
I'm an artist. I have some ego, after all.
Okay. Well, then maybe I'm going to take back all the nice things I'm about to say. I'm just kidding. But you have these like reflections, and you are totally owning something that maybe you said in the beginning you just wanted to be anonymous because you really weren't that sure about things, and even now when you're speaking, you're saying, maybe you didn't have the conviction that you do now with Bitcoin. You didn't have it when you were holding those other coins in the past. And I love that you're just able to talk about that, because a lot of times, especially on the internet, people are like, yeah, I'm an OG. Yeah, I've been doing this for a while. Yeah, I've been this, I've been that. And it's refreshing to hear someone say, I was doing this and it's not what I'm doing now, and these are the reasons why, and I've grown from it. So thank you for doing that. I think that's awesome. And you've done it a few times on this podcast, and it's just refreshing to hear that.
I mean, that's the thing, is like people who put on that front of being like not necessarily an OG, but like
they know.
I've always been Bitcoin only, or I've only been this. Like, come on, like you wake up a different person every single day. It's what you choose to do with that day that gives you the timeline of who you are.
Totally.
So
totally.
Even if like Trace Mayer came out today and like explained what he did recently, like I'd give him the benefit of the doubt before I started judging him.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, I think we need more people like that in the space. Awesome. Easy in Crypto said it's been a very informative show. Thank you for joining us, AgroCat, Easy in Crypto, everyone here. Have a good night to you as well. And if anyone has any last moment questions, feel free and drop them in. Havo, good to see you and hear you. Brekkie, and thank you. Yeah, I love organizing this, and this was awesome to have.
See that Crypto Brekkie there? I haven't logged into Twitch since I was Crypto Brekkie.
Oh, you're gonna need to update that.
Yeah, I should probably do that.
But thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me. This was fun. Thanks for joining us, Bitcoin Audio. You were the first one here, so thanks for being the first. And I'm super excited. We have something coming up. We have the Halving live stream with Bitcoin Magazine, which is going to be fun, that you guys should tune in for. It's 21 hours of live stream of all different people. We're not going to be on for 24 hours, or at least I'm not going to be on for 21 hours, but there will be something going on. We'll be drinking and chatting, Bitcoin art and all of that good stuff. So that'd be awesome if you guys could join us then. Where can people find you if they want to see more of what you're doing, and obviously get notified for things that you're working on?
Sure. On Twitter, I am just BVBTC. And then my art website is not quite ready, but if you go to vonbitcoinart.com, you can sign up for the newsletter. And that's probably the best way to keep up to date with art. If you like stupid t-shirts like this, just go to vonbitcoin.com. But just find me on Twitter. My DMs are open. Happy to talk art or anything. And awesome. Go make Bitcoin art. Even if you suck, I don't care. Send me a photo. I'll tell you suck, and then I'll tell you that I love it anyway.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you. This was awesome, and I'm excited. You guys should definitely subscribe to his newsletter if you, especially if so I know some of the people here are coming from the NFT art side. So if you're interested in Bitcoin art and just want to like learn more about it and see what other Bitcoin artists are doing, then please definitely go follow that newsletter. And Easy in Crypto just said he's following you now on Twitter, so that's sweet.
You're
Cool.
instantly cooler than everyone in the chat, except for the people in the chat who are already following.
And now you know a lot of different things about Brekkie, so you can give
Yes.
him some fun shit on Twitter. And he's also going to send you his last sketch, so you can tell him it's shit. Just kidding, just kidding. Well, thank you guys. Thank you, everyone here. I am going to sign off, and then Brekkie, also, if you want to DM me your links and everything, I'm going to post Brekkie's links in my Discord because that's where a lot of people came over from. So I'll post
Sure.
them there so you guys can follow as well. All right. Good night, guys.
Thanks for having me.